right. Um, this is what we are painting today. And yeah, we'll get started right away here. Um, so this is, yeah, like I said, what we're painting today. And um yeah, I have for today a pencil, an eraser, a pen of some sort, a black pen, any type of black pen, and watercolor, of course. Yeah, so I'll leave it for a minute for you guys all to take some photos and then we'll get started. All right. Well, I'm going to move this out of the way and we will get started on our paper. To start off, I'm going to draw in the vase at the bottom. Um, and you can really kind of draw anything for your vase shape. So you can follow along with mine or you can draw whatever you'd like. But yeah, so I'm kind of starting off trying to stick uh, to the middle. And for the person who just showed up, I will show the painting again in just a second. Um, so yeah, and then kind of drawing in a shape of a vase here. Um, this is what we were painting again for whoever just popped in. All right. And we'll just keep going here. Yeah. Um, so we're starting off with the vase shape here, and you can kind of make it whatever you'd like. But for flower vases, kind of stick to a more narrow top so you can keep all your flowers nice and close together. Um, yeah. So this is the kind of vase shape that I'm going to have. A very simple vase. Um, and I'm going to kind of curve um, the top here to show it being a little bit more three-dimensional. Like that. So today this is really the only pencil we're going to be doing is just roughing out the vase shape. And then we're kind of done with the pencil for today. It's just to make sure that it's nice and easy kind of base. Would you, whoever just showed up, this is what we were painting. If you'd like a photo of it, or if you'd like it like for a reference, we're just starting off by sketching out the vase to begin with.
This is a painting class.
Yeah. So we are using watercolor. Oh, yes. Just a reminder, for everyone, next week there will be no classes. for Thanksgiving. I will remind at the again at the end of class, but yeah, as it's a holiday, we're just taking the Monday off. So,
Okay, thank you.
Okay, thank
mhm.
you.
So this is our vase. Make sure to kind of erase most of the really, really dark lines you have. Not like completely gone, but just to lighten them up so they're a little bit harder to see after we've painted everything. So just keep your pencil really, really light or go back in and erase the dark spots. So it looks very, very light. So this is all the pencil we are going to be using today. It's just kind of to place where our vase is going to be. So we have it kind of more in the placement we want and the shape of the vase as well. Um, the flowers we are going to be doing all freehand with watercolor. So I will go over how I paint the flowers and then we will put them on, like I'll go over it on a separate piece of paper and then we'll put them actually on the main piece here. So on this painting, we have four different types of plants. We have uh like an orange chrysanthemum type plant, some lilies, some little yellow plants, and a fern. So I'll go over how I painted each of these, and then we'll put them onto the actual painting. Um, so if you have an extra paper to follow along with, it can be any sort of paper. I'm just using a sketchbook with some thicker paper. But if you have a little piece of watercolor like this, like what I use for showing you guys my colors, you can use that. And yeah. So to start off with, I'm going to be painting the orange flower first. Um, so of course, using orange as our color. This is the shade of orange I'm using. It's very it's a very yellow orange. I think it's the same orange we used to paint oranges last week. Um, so uh,
Zoe, what's the
Zoe,
number
what brush
of
are you
pen you
using?
use?
I'm using this round brush. It is a 10.
10? Okay.
What other question was that? Was it just about the brush?
Yeah, just the blush.
Yes.
Okay, great. You asked two questions at the same time, so
Both about
um
the brush.
okay. Yeah, it's just a round brush, a size 10, it says on it. Um, yeah, you can use like any sort of brush. I was painting them earlier with this two brush as well. So a much smaller brush and it got the same effect, but just using a round brush instead of a square brush. Um, so getting quite a bit of pigment on your brush, not too much, but quite a bit of water as well. And you kind of make this like arc shape a couple of times, making them a little bit shorter in the middle and then having them also be more rounded towards the outside of it. And you can go from the bottom to the top or from the top to the bottom of these like swoops, kind of.
I add for
Pardon?
uh, I need orange. It's yellow with what?
With red.
With red. Yeah, thank you.
Yeah. If you would like me to go over how to mix colors again, I can. That wouldn't take too long. I don't mind doing that if you'd like. But this is kind of the basis for these orange flowers here.
Yeah, thank
Um,
you.
yeah,
It is good job I have.
okay. Um, so again, just starting off with like a little bit smaller pieces in the middle, and then going more rounded and longer pieces on the outside. And you can make them like taller like this one or shorter like this one. Um, yeah, and then after it has mostly dried, I go over it again with the same orange, but just a lot more pigment on your brush. So you can see my brush is very orange. So this was kind of what the saturation that we were using for the first pass, and this is the second. So a lot darker with just a lot more color on your brush. And going over with that same shape just to add a little bit of dimension to it.
Good. I have
Like
one.
so. LA, would you like me to show you how I would mix this color with red and yellow?
Yeah, I have this one.
Okay. If you'd like, I can show you. I don't mind. Um,
This one.
Pardon? I can show, yes.
Good. Thank you.
Um, so again, using like the case of my watercolor palette, um, as where to mix and just taking a lot of water onto that case like this, and then using a lot of yellow, so mainly yellow, as it's more of a yellow orange. So putting mostly, this is the color of yellow that I have, this yellow,
Mhm.
and using mostly that, getting a lot of pigment onto this water spot here. And then just adding in
Red.
just a little bit of red. Yeah. So you see with mostly yellow and just a little bit of red, we get a pretty close color to what we have, right?
Yes.
Yeah, so you can use that. This is how I paint the first of our 4 plants today. Um, yeah. So in a second I'll go over some lilies, how to paint some lilies. Yeah. So lilies are pretty simple because every lily has the same amount of petals on it. Um, well, unless you pull the petals off, but um, for uh, for this our example painting, I used 3 different types of colors for the lilies. So I'll show you all those colors. Any of them work. Like if you want to use just one of them, you can. But I'll show you all the colors that I used and then I'll demo it with the red. Um, yeah, so this was the first color that I used. It's a very purple, red color. I used it a lot lighter though. For one of them, the other 2 were just different colors of red. So this was the main red that I'll show you guys how I painted a lily with. Because it is a very pretty pink when it's spread out. Um, yes.
Red, red.
Yeah, so any sort of red.
Yeah, and
We're just using red for most of the lilies. If you'd like to make a purple like this, you can mix some red with some blue.
blue. Yeah.
Um, if you like purple. But I am just going to be using red for my lilies. I just thought I'd show you guys what color I used for one of them. 'Cause, yeah. So um, the lilies, you want mainly water on your brush. You don't want a whole lot of pigment because you want to keep them rather light as they are very like pale flowers. And then um, you kind of pick your like center and then um, do 3 petals to start with. And oftentimes you can like thin out the petals or cut them off, make them a little bit shorter, make them wider if they're like facing completely down like that. And then taking your brush again after doing that and between each of those petals, just putting in another one and For this one at the back here, you can cut it off so it looks like it's hidden behind itself. So you don't have to make it pointy, right? For these leaves, I got a little bit more paint on my brush to show that they're underneath the first three that we did. And you can put a little bit of a darker color in the center to help give it a little bit more depth to it. So I'll go over it again, just really quick. So very little pigment on your brush. Find a center point. Um, your first three petals. And then a little bit darker. For whoever just showed up, I'll show you our painting in a second, like what we're painting. Um, that was very dark. So if you do something like that, just clean off your brush and you can kind of wipe away the color just a little bit. Yeah. And yeah. So then the next step is again putting on another layer like these orange flowers, but I'll just wait for a minute or two and then I'll show you. If I am going too fast, please let me know. This is kind of just like a demo, so I want to go through it so we can start actually painting these on our paper. Um, so for the lilies, the next step is getting a lot of pigment on your brush again. So I'll show you again just how dark of like how much color I have on my brush here. And then going in the middle, down the middle of the petal and doing that, kind of going on the edges and the middle. And yeah, you can also take your brush with just some water on it and kind of blend those colors just a little bit, just to, yeah, bring that darker color a little bit more. And if it's a little bit too dark in spots, just um, using water on your brush and pushing it kind of away from where you want it to be, right? So the yellow flowers are very simple. They kind of just have four leaves to all of them, or petals. So I'm using this yellow here as our base color, and these flowers are very simple. You kind of just make a little bit of like a circle and then like drag them down to the middle. And you do that 4 times. Yeah. On my painting, I also have them having a leaf overlap, so you can only see 3 petals, and the fourth one is like in the middle here, um, which we do with the second color that we use on these. So they're very simple shapes, just kind of like, yeah, very, um, they're just kind of to like brighten up our bouquet here. So they're very simple. You can also paint them like that. So instead of showing the base of the flower, you just show the top of it. So you just see the 4 petals. Yeah. The ferns are very simple too. I'll go over them in a minute. Um, but yeah, they're very simple. So So the second color for these yellow flowers is just this yellowish brown that we've used before. That's just like that kind of color where it's a very like dark yellow. And this color is just used in the middle of our flowers here, just to show a little bit of shadow. And this is how we get that fourth petal in on this flower here, and how we show the middle on that one. So I'll hold this up to the camera so you can see a little bit clearer here. Um, so you can see they're very simple for sure. So these ferns that I have in the painting are a little bit they excuse me. They kind of differ where they're placed, but the basis of it is I have quite a bit of paint on my brush using this yellowish green. It's called sap green. That's the only like official color I know for my watercolors because I use way too much of it. Um, but this color and starting off um, by doing your like stem of the leaf, and all you do is start off very like small near the top, and then as you get kind of further down the leaf, you get a little bit bigger, and then you start to go a little bit smaller again. So I'll show you again on the other side in a minute. But yeah, it more changes based off of how the leaf is placed in the bouquet. Really, like they're all the same kind of formula of doing the stem down the middle and then smaller leaves near the top and bigger ones in the middle. And then smaller as they get down. So I was born in Ontario, and in Ontario, ferns in forests like will cover the entire floor of the forest. It it's wild. It feels like you're almost in a jungle sometimes because it's like so dense with ferns. Um, yeah. So I like ferns. They're very like flowy. But yeah, so these are all the bases of our flowers. um, that we are going to use in order to paint our um, vase today. Yeah, so that is our like foundation for the day. And yeah, now is the fun part of putting them all in one spot. So I'll just wait a minute and then we'll get started putting these on the vase. All right. Um, so we're gonna go in kind of the same order as we painted them to start with. Um, Starting with the orange flowers and yeah, so taking your orange color, taking quite a bit of it on your brush, not like too much. So that's kind of the ratio of water to paint that I have. It's kind of like an even ratio, just so when we go in and do the darker color on top of it, it still pops. And yeah, so again, starting with the smaller middle and going slowly out. So you do want to keep them like relatively well sized. Like this one's a little bit small. But making it bigger is not too hard to do. Um, you just want to make sure to like fill up all the space that we have, right? So the bigger the flowers, the easier it is to fill up space and keep your page more even. So keep it on with the same color, um, adding in one um, kind of down here-ish. And this one's a little bit shorter, but it's like more spread out, like so.
Ucho. Oh,
So I'm adding in another one that's a little bit of like a taller one. So it's more like longer petals here. With flowers, you want to try to keep, despite them all being the same type of flower, you want to keep them all looking a little bit different, which is pretty easy to do with watercolor. Um, I don't think I've ever been able to paint something exactly the same in watercolor, um, because it always kind of looks a little bit different, right? Yeah. And adding in just one more of these orange flowers, just in this kind of section here. And this one is going to be um, like rather big. Just, yeah. All right, in just a minute, we'll start painting in our lilies. I just want to make sure you all have the orange painted in and then we'll move on. All right, moving on to our lilies here. Um, yeah, so again, taking mostly water on your brush and then a little bit of pigment. So this is um like what my brush kind of is right now. So mostly water, just a little bit of pigment. Um, yeah, and um, putting in the center of our flower again and going out with 3 petals to start with. And then the same way we practice, just getting a little bit more pigment and going between um, the petals and putting in 3 more petals here. And this back one is hidden behind the rest of the flower, so you can kind of only see the first kind of half of it like that. On the painting, we also have some bulbs that go with the lilies, or buds, I guess is what it's called. So the way I do that is just taking about the same amount of paint that we did for our first pass and making a kind of ovally shape, and that is like a closed up lily that hasn't bloomed yet. So adding in the next lily here, we're gonna put it up in this top middle part here. And again, mostly water, just a little bit of pigment. Finding the center of where we want our flower to be. Adding in those first three petals. On this flower, one of them is going to be behind a little bit here, so we won't put in the like pointy part of it. And then one right in the middle at the front here. And then the same next step of just adding in those three slightly darker petals. Those were a little bit too dark, so to fix that, I'm just taking very little water on my brush and just no color and just kind of erasing the too much pigment that I put on.
How many petals lilies has?
This one has six again.
No, six.
So we have two kind of like in the back here, so you can't really see them completely. Um, yeah, but there's always six petals on lilies, so some of them are sometimes hard to see though. There's a certain type of lily that you can actually eat. It's called a daylily, and it kind of tastes like cucumbers. I went to a wedding and someone had that on their salad, so that was fun. All right, I'm going to add in another lily bulb and then we'll do the last lily over here. So just adding in that same shape. On the painting, I had it up over here, but we've lost a little bit of room because yeah. But that's all right because if it's a little bit different, it's okay. So the next lily we are adding in is going to be pretty flat. So keeping, oh, that's too much pigment. keeping your petals a little bit shorter will help it look more like it's on its side rather than face on. So adding in very thin, flat petals here. So again, we also have one that gets hidden by the rest of the flower at the back. So just not making it pointy, leaving it rounder because we don't see the end of the petal. And then with a little bit more color, adding in those three other leaves. Petals. Blah. So one of my petals here you can see kind of hits another flower. So I kind of just, instead of going on top of it, I kind of go a little bit around it and cutting off where the leaf or the petal would be when it goes behind it. Um, and then it just gives it a little bit more of a 3D look to the whole um, bouquet. And then just adding in that last one at the back there. So these two are very similar in how we painted it, the top one and the one on the right here. So yeah. And next we'll just be adding in those little yellow flowers. So we'll go over and add in all the darker layers on top of the flowers once we're done the bases, just so we can let things dry before painting on top of them. All right, these yellow flowers are pretty simple, so we'll go through them a little bit quicker. And then, yeah, so getting quite a bit of yellow pigment on my brush. Um, like probably mostly pigment um, to water ratio. And you can kind of add them anywhere you want, just anywhere you have some blank spaces. So you can add them in pairs or in little groups. You can make them smaller or bigger. These are kind of just um, little like filler flowers. So they're just supposed to make our painting look a little bit fuller.
It's high.
Hmm?
Yeah, it's high yellow.
Yes, yellow.
Light yellow.
Pardon?
It's light yellow.
Light yellow, yeah. So this is the yellow. I
Yeah,
think it's lemon yellow is what the color is called.
yeah, it's lemon yellow. See,
Yeah, so
thank
it's very bright.
thank you.
Yeah.
How many pieces?
How
Four?
many?
Yeah, four.
Um, you can
Four
add,
pieces.
I'm going to be adding in five.
Five.
Four petals for each of them though, sorry. Some of them do have three petals just because I add in the fourth one with like that shadow color, like this one, remember? Um, so
Yeah,
some of them will have four, some of them will have three.
yeah. Thank you.
Yeah, no worries. Yeah, so there are all of our flowers added in. We will add in the ferns with the stems of the flowers. Um, so I'm going to wait for these to dry and for you guys to catch up a little bit, and then we'll paint in the second layer of colors on all the flowers, and then we'll move on to the greenery. All right, I'm going to start putting in the second layer of colors on the flowers. As this is something a little bit simpler, just so we can have some time to finish up all the flowers. Yeah, so for these details, you want to keep your pigments pretty like saturated. So again, this was the kind of ratio that we used for the first pass of orange, and this one is mostly pigment. So it's nice and dark. So it goes on top of that um, lighter-ish color and still gives us some nice contrast, even though we're only using one color. Um, so going in on all of the orange flowers again, and just adding in a little bit more texture. Like that. And this is just to add like another layer of leaves or petals kind of um just to give it all a little bit of dimension, right? So because we don't have class next week, I don't have a painted version of what we are painting the following week. But next week, for Monday, I hope I will get an email all out to you guys of what we will be painting, just as a little bit of a prep.
No,
Um,
thank you.
yeah, so you guys are prepared for the following week. So I'll email out what we're doing, and yeah, just to keep you all updated despite there being a holiday. So,
Thanks.
do you do anything for Thanksgiving?
Yeah,
Yeah?
yes.
Thanksgiving is always fun. I have two uncles who also live in Calgary and my grandma. So we all get together for Thanksgiving.
Mhm.
Yeah. Um, so moving on to these lilies and oh, I just looked at the time. We're running a little bit behind. But taking the dark red and same color of red, just a little bit more pigmented, and going down the middle of the petals and a little bit on the edges. Like so.
I was, I was.
Mm. And for the buds, you can just add a little bit of darker parts towards the base of it. And that's kind of all you really need to add to them. They're fairly simple. They're just supposed to, like when you get a bouquet of flowers, lilies always have like buds on them. So yeah. And then for the yellow flowers, just taking the darker brown, brownish yellow color, keeping it pretty saturated and just putting it in the middle of the small yellow flowers. I also like to put it just at the base of this part here, just because that's kind of like the base of the flower and it adds a little bit of depth to it. Yeah. So those are our flowers done, and we'll start on greenery in just a sec.
Green.
Yeah, the green.
Thank you.
Mhm. For that part, I'm actually going to be using a number 2 brush, still a round brush, but just a little bit smaller, so we can get some thinner stem lines.
Good job.
All right. We are going to start on some greenery here. Um, so taking this sap green, again, a very yellowish green. Doesn't have to be exactly this color. Um, but this green color here
Good. Yes.
and
Uh,
adding in those ferns that we practiced. So adding in the main line of the fern and
maybe
then
maybe can I do this one by pencil before?
pardon?
Uh, by pencil.
Um, I don't know if this is specifically the color in the paint set that you might have.
No.
Um,
Yeah, I try.
there's okay.
I tried
Um,
it.
there could be a paint that looks more similar to this green in it. So you can use that instead. You could even use a more blue-green if you have that, like this color.
Yeah,
But
I
I'm just using a more yellow-green. So,
thank you.
mhm. And starting off with like the smaller leaves at the top and going bigger as you get down. You can also start at the bottom and go like that. This one is going to be like more like downward facing, and then we're gonna do one up at the back there. But yeah. So this is what I was talking about, how the ferns kind of look different based off of where you put them. Like because this one is more downward facing, it'll look a little bit different than that one. And the final one is gonna go behind this orange flower, like that. So you see how I left, like I didn't go on top of the flower, I went behind it. So I left a part of it blank to show that it's behind that flower. And then with that in mind, making sure not to overlap, like go on top of the orange with your green, and that'll keep the leaf kind of behind that flower, like that. And then we won't see much of this other side, so. And those are the three ferns that I'll be adding in. You can add in more if you'd like, but they just kind of get messy when you try to put them behind everything. So, yeah. The next thing to add in is stems for all of your plants. And sorry if I'm going fast. We've just got 10 minutes left, so I'm trying to show you how I do all of this. Um, and just taking a very thin line and taking that line all the way down into the vase.
Mm.
So you're making sure to have the stem go all the way down. For these lilies, because they have the buds, make sure to have them like meet at some point and then go down into the pot. You can also add in some leaves if you'd like to these stems. So nothing like too special. Yeah.
Good job.
Which green? I'm using the same green that we did for the ferns. But again, you can use any green you would like. And we've done a lot of like flower pots before, so I'll go over it quickly. But um, yeah, so we're kind of following the same sort of light source that we've been doing for the past couple of weeks of keeping our light on the left. Um, so I'm going to be using blue for this pot here. Just any sort of deep blue will do. This is the blue that I'm using. And um, just sticking most of your pigment to one side. So very similar to what we have been doing.
Yeah, it's
Also take that dark blue and put it on the inside of the pot. So you want to keep this part a little bit darker because it's like inside, like rather than the outside of the pot. So just adding that part in carefully because it'll, yeah, just because you're going around all the stems and things. You don't have to do that necessarily, but it just adds a little bit of depth. Um, so I was going to show you how to outline things as well. Um, I don't know if we'll get to that though today. The other thing for the pot is the shadow. So taking a gray. This is the gray that we've been using for all of our shadows. And just going lightly on the ground. Like that. So this is our flower pot without any of the outlining. But I did a very similar type of outlining to when we did the lighthouse. So very simple, just going over things. If you'd like, I can quickly show you how I did the outlines for the flowers. Like this, like what I did on here. If you'd like, I can go over that really, really quick. Today was a very long lesson. I was not planned for that.
Maybe
Yeah,
It is, you can, I'll take a picture.
okay.
this one, did you
Oh,
see?
that's really pretty. I like it.
Thank you. Bye.
Very nice.
Thank you, Zoe.
I love to see all of your guys' paintings.
We tried
I
to do
tried.
something.
Go on. How about me?
Oh, I really like that.
Good job.
Thank you.
I would say the most important part of art is trying. There are still things with art I struggle with today, but as long as you put in the effort, eventually you'll get there, right? And as long as you're having fun, that's really the point of art, right?
Got it. Thank you. Very good. This thing.
Just another reminder, we don't have class next week. Um, but I'll email you guys what we're doing for the next week after that.